This is the first day of the manslaughter trial of Alec Baldwin, who found himself holding the firearm which would kill cinematographer Halyna Hutchins on the set of the western Rust. The armourer of that movie, Hannah Gutierrez, has already been tried and found guilty. The first assistant director, David Halls, pled no contest to a charge of negligent use of a deadly weapon. But those two verdicts do not automatically absolve Alec Baldwin of responsibility, as the gun was in his hand at the time.
I represent the family of Halyna Hutchins. Halyna, of course, was killed by the gun that Alec Baldwin was holding and that fired into her, taking her life and injuring Joel Souza, the assistant director.
Alec Baldwin pleaded not guilty and maintained he did not pull the trigger after cocking the hammer of the gun.
You will learn that this bullet was a .45 caliber round that entered Ms. Hutchins' body right underneath her right underarm. It perforated her right lung. It traveled through her spine, lacerating her spinal cord, and then it exited on the left side of her back. That bullet then went into Joel Souza's right shoulder, and it came to rest in his back, from where doctors removed it once he was transported to St. Vincent's Hospital here in Santa Fe.
This was an unspeakable tragedy, but Alec Baldwin committed no crime. He was an actor acting, playing the role of Harlan Rust. An actor playing a character can act in ways that are lethal, that just aren't lethal on a movie set. These cardinal rules, they're not cardinal rules on a movie set. And I don't have to tell you much more about this because you've all seen gunfights in movies. And the reason that can happen is because safety is ensured before the actor. He must be able to take that weapon and use it as the person he's acting would. To wave it, to point it, to pull the trigger like actors do, in ways that would be lethal in the real world, but are not lethal on a movie set. And I'm going to show you that scene now before lunch.
I'm gonna go find some help.
I don't need no damn help.
You're gonna die if I don't.
He's wounded on the run.
Harlan Rust. Need you stand up nice and slow, toss any weapons you have.
He's on the church pew, bleeding, his hand gripping the revolver. He would defend himself against the men in the movie. Play.
One more. You good? Ready? Harlan Rust. Did you get up nice and slow, toss any weapons you have?
What help was going to get right there?
Joel, you want me to wait to give you that line till he lands? Okay. Till camera lands?
Yeah.
Yep.
7 minutes. Yeah. Draw your gun and look up and point your gun, okay?
Okay, which way? Camera right or left?
This way. For now.
So camera left for now.
I'll stand right here for you, Alec.
So whip it out.
Yeah.
Okay, well, let me get this all greased. Ready?
Yeah.
Okay, ready? Okay, ready? Ready.
And set. Ready. And action.
Harlan Rust.
After the opening statements, the first witness to take the stand was police officer Nicholas Lafleur, who was the first person to get to the movie set after the shooting.
32 Santa Fe both approximately 140 pounds, elderly male and young female. What do you need me here? No, you want a BBM?
He's good. He's got a broken shoulder. This is repeat your information. Are you flying her out? Yeah, she'll be
Officer LaFleur, tell us what you're doing now and why.
I looked over it and seen that they were getting the oxygen tank out. Noticed that they were using not a bag valve mask, which is more appropriate for that situation than the one that goes around their face. I'm just helping them, doing as much as I can to help.
That's it. If I could just have you guys just step over there for us, okay? Can I have you guys get over there for us? We're going to have to gather everybody up, get everybody's names, everybody who's on scene, okay?
Why are you telling those people to move?
Just to start to gather people up, because they're just standing around the church where the said incident happened.
Are you trained to take action to save lives before moving witnesses around?
Yes, ma'am.
How's it going, sir? So my understanding, you were in the room when someone was shot?
holding the gun, yeah.
Okay, alrighty.
What do you need?
Well, I know your name, so it's
Pursuant to the stipulation, I'm going to go ahead and jump ahead.
Let me get with my lieutenant and see where we want you to hang out, okay?
Whatever you want to do. Whatever.
Yes, sir. All right, give me just a second. LT. So I got. Do you want to pull the trigger? Do you want me to have him sit tight or?
Yeah, you're gonna have to sit tight.
Sit tight in the unit?
I have the armor in here. This is all their stuff. I have the gun used is in there.
And I got the two people that were in the room.
Okay.
You want me to have Alec Baldwin take a seat in the back of my unit or?
No, we know where he's at. We know who he is.
Yeah.
We just need to say, is he in a trailer?
No, he's right there in the gray and black.
Okay. All right. So try to keep him away from everybody.
Okay.
Have him talk to anybody.
Okay. I can just have him sit. I can sit with him in my unit.
That's fine.
Okay. Okay.
Officer LaFleur, at this point in time, what's your intention?
I was going to go back to where Mr. Baldwin was and then escort him to my unit. When I got there, I realized my unit is over here being used as a post for the crime scene.
So what did you do when you realized that?
Just had him sit where he was.
Officer LaFleur guided the jury through his body cam footage before being passed over to the defense for questioning.
I want to ask you, how come when you described it today in court, how come you didn't include the word accident when you testified before this jury?
I'm not one to say if it was an accident or not. Just there to initially respond to it, and then the detectives determine whether or not it was an accident.
Well, sure, but every other time you've been asked about this, you've said it was an accident. And now today at the trial of Alec Baldwin, when you're talking to this jury, you left that word out. Isn't that true?
Not intentionally, no.
And also in that video, you can see a lot of these people are coming over to Mr. Baldwin, right?
Yes.
One of them comes over and shakes his hand, right?
Yes.
Have you ever seen that in all of your experience? Somebody commit a homicide and everybody and all the witnesses are on the scene circling around the person, shaking his hand and talking to him about what happened. Have you ever seen that in your entire career?
No.
The police department, the Santa Fe Police Department, has never arrested Mr. Baldwin.
Not the Santa Fe Police
Back to the form of
Department.
question, asked and answered.
And one of the things that you do as an officer on the scene is you observe demeanor, right?
Yes.
And you spent 10 hours on the scene, I think I heard you say, right?
Yes.
You got to see the people of Rust that day live, right?
Yes.
And the truth of the matter is that you took it as a way how everybody was acting, and that the individual who claimed to have been holding the firearm was still there, that there was no, the way he was, his demeanor was that there wasn't any intention behind the act, as you could say. Isn't that true?
I wouldn't say there was no intention. I don't know the individual's intentions, but his demeanor was sad, upset.
Okay, well, it's not just his demeanor being sad and upset, right? Okay, I'm going to move that to the side. And I understand you're not a mind reader, right? Correct?
Yes.
Okay. All you can do is look at the people and look at how they're interacting and make your own judgments, right?
Yes.
Okay, and you do that as a police officer to try to figure out how to interact with a scene. True?
Yes.
Okay, and isn't it true that the way you took it, how everybody was acting, and that the individual who claimed to have been holding the firearm was still there, that there was no, the way he was, his demeanor was that there wasn't any intention behind the act, as you could say. Isn't that true?
Again, the wording you're using, I wouldn't say I had any clue of whose intention was what, but he was sad and upset.
I am not sure what Alec Baldwin's intention has to do with it, as this is a manslaughter trial and not a murder trial. The very definition of manslaughter is unlawful killing without the intention to kill.
Do you recognize State's Exhibit 6?
Yes, I do.
What is it?
It is the gun that Halyna Gutierrez, the armorer, handed to me.
Now, what did you do with this gun once she handed it to you?
I took custody of it from her, and I walked it over to the passenger side of my unit, my marked sheriff's unit.
What did you do with it once you walked over to the marked sheriff's unit?
I put it in the front seat, and I locked it.
Lieutenant Timoteo Benavides is another police officer who was called to the scene straight after the shooting.
So what is the next thing you did after you secured the gun in your patrol car?
What I remember is I was talking to the armorer, Hannah. I put her in the back of my unit, and I told her she wasn't under arrest. I kept the door open because the detectives needed to speak to her.
The armourer, Halyna Gutierrez, who was sentenced to 18 months in prison, is expected to give evidence in this trial.
Okay. Sorry.
You're okay. Just relax. Just relax. You're all right. Just relax. Okay. You're right there. You're right there, okay? Relax. I just need
What's happening right here?
Hannah, as you can see, she's upset, visibly upset, and she's showing me where the rounds are that were used.
And was it the same rounds that you put in your vehicle?
Yes, it is.
You understood from meeting with the detectives that they were trying to figure out and rule out if this was a crime.
Well, that's our main function, is to see if there was a crime committed or not.
So you agree with me, right?
That's our main function as law enforcement, yes.
Okay. You don't know how the live bullet got on the movie set?
I do not.
You don't know why the armorer loaded into the prop gun. She didn't tell you that.
No, I do not.
And you don't know why the first AD failed to detect it?
The what?
The first assistant director, that guy Dave.
Oh, I do not. I don't.
Okay. And you still work for the Santa Fe Sheriff's Office?
Do I still work? No, I'm retired.
You've retired. Okay. I have nothing further for this witness at this time.
All right, thank you.
Deputy Joseph Lujan went to the emergency room where injured director Joel Souza was being treated for his wounds.
I briefly made contact with Mr. Souza in an attempt to collect preliminary facts surrounding what had occurred.
Okay. And we're not going to talk about what Mr. Souza told you, but after you spoke with Mr. Souza, what did you do?
I observed medical doctors administer some sort of medication to him, and then they retrieved a projectile from his shoulder.
Okay. Were you watching this as it was taking place?
Yes, it was.
So did you watch doctors retrieve that projectile from his shoulder?
Yes, ma'am.
You were the first member of law enforcement to meet with Mr. Souza, the director of the film, afterwards, right?
I believe so, at the hospital, yes, sir.
Right. And I think you told the prosecutor you briefly made contact with him to get some preliminary facts?
Yes, sir.
And he was willing to speak to you, right?
Yes, sir.
And he never once mentioned Alec Baldwin, did he?
Objection, calls for hearsay.
Not hearsay. Never once mentioned Alec Baldwin, correct?
Objection, hearsay.
All right. I don't think that, no, I'm going to overrule.
He never, in describing the preliminary facts to you, ever mentioned Alec Baldwin, correct?
Correct.
No further questions for this witness?
Any redirect?
No, Your Honor.
All right. Thank you, sir. You're excused.
The last witness of the day was crime scene technician Marissa Popple.
How did you become involved in this case?
I was asked to respond to a scene of a shooting along with my criminal investigations division. That would be the detectives and myself responding to a scene on October 21st of 2021.
Do you recall approximately what time you arrived on scene?
I believe it was between 2:30 and 3 o'clock in the afternoon.
Ms. Popple, this is State's Exhibit 6, and it has previously been admitted into evidence. So if you would open it. Do you recognize that?
Yes.
What is that?
This is the firearm that was taken out of Lieutenant Benavidez's vehicle.
And what did you do with it?
I photographed this item and then collected it, took it back to my office where it was photographed in more detail.
And then what did you do with it?
It was submitted to the FBI for analysis.
And why did you submit it to the FBI for analysis? What kind of analysis?
I believe that we were requesting DNA, latent prints, and firearms testing on it.
And why would you ask the FBI to perform a firearms functioning test?
We wanted to make sure that the firearm was in proper working order.
And we already know from the Hannah Gutierrez trial that the gun was not found to be malfunctioning.
The ammunition that was inside of that holster, did you closely examine it?
Yes.
And did any of that was in the holster cause you to suspect that there were any live rounds in the holster?
Yes.
How many rounds that were in that holster did you suspect were live?
1.
And you sent that to the FBI?
Yes.
And based on your work on this case, do you know who was the actor who was assigned to that holster?
Alec Baldwin.
If you watched any of the Hannah Gutierrez trial, you will already know that the live rounds were identifiable from their silver firing pins.
It sounded like you did another search. You did a search of a business in Albuquerque. Is that right?
Yes.
Do you know why the Sheriff's Department wanted to search that location?
It was my understanding that because the owner of that business had assisted in supplying dummy rounds to the set, that we wanted to ensure that we weren't finding any additional live rounds. And to determine that, we needed to search that warehouse as well.
And what was that person's name, the person who owned that business?
Seth Kenny.
And was Mr. Kenny there when you conducted the search?
Yes.
And did you find live ammunition inside that business?
Yes.
Visibly, in terms of the details of the ammunition, did it appear to be identical to the live ammunition that you collected from the set of Rust?
No.
Okay, anything else? Ms. Morrissey?
No, Your Honor.
Okay. All right, have a good evening. Thank you.
And that concludes the first day of the trial. I will do my best to summarise every day as I can, but it takes a long time to cut down 8 hours of footage, so please bear with me. Also, please note that I am not a lawyer and do not offer legal advice. Any mistakes contained herein are my own. I'm Scott Kingsnorth and I'm making a movie.